talk to Alpesh Patel, who is CEO of Profinium Partners. Alpesh Patel, let's talk about British Aerospace. Investors are thinking about the possibility that one of its major shipyards in Scotland may close.
Yes, this I think is actually more of a negotiation tactic by the company to say to the government, look, we might have to close one of the shipyards because government spending has declined, because the orders that we're fulfilling will run out, we don't have more deal flow coming through, and therefore we can embarrass the government unless we get some kind of payment. Now, they've not put it in those terms, but any of the ministers will be able to read between the lines. In actual fact, BAE Systems is up about 30% in the last 12 months. It's a profitable company, and you look at the growth in defence spending, particularly in countries like Oman and in Qatar, and the Prime Minister was in the Middle East, in the UAE recently as well, to try and shore up some of those contracts for British companies, and BAE would actually be okay. So I think it's a question of brinkmanship.
So BAE, that's BAE. What about Barclays? Shares down 4% today at one point. And this is because of actions by some of its Middle Eastern investors. What's going on there?
Yes, well, you'll recall back during the height of the credit crunch, Barclays had to go around the Middle East looking for wealthy investors to shore up its capital, its reserves, as it were. And one of the places it went to was in Qatar and asked for the Sovereign Wealth Fund to give it some money. Well, what they've done is sold some of the stock, but issued a statement saying that they're fully confident in Barclays. It was some of the warrants, actually, which are the rights to buy some of the stocks, which they've disposed of, and that meant that a lot of stock hit the market, and in anticipation of those sales, the price has dropped. But overhanging all of this is not just the stock sale, is the fact that there has been a fraud investigation in relation to whether there were any improper payments by Barclays to the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Qatar in order for them to make that bailout, is probably too strong a word, but make that investment, let's put it that way, during the height of the credit crunch in Barclays.
So now what has been driving European markets today? I mean, obviously we got the news about Mark Carney quite late here in London, but is it Greece that's actually providing the worries that have forced the market down?
Well, I think it's principally the fiscal cliff out of the US, whether or not the American government, the White House and Congress will agree on making sure that these big tax benefits, which are due to come to an end, will actually remain in place, and therefore the American investor, the American consumer, will not be hit by a cutback in their disposable incomes. And of course, on top of that, you have got concerns about Greece, you've got concerns about Catalonia leaving Spain, and therefore having an impact on the Spanish economy. But that's less of a serious issue than non-agreement on Europe. But essentially, the time bomb of the fiscal cliff in the US as the world's largest economy ticking away, because if the Americans don't come to some kind of agreement, then that would put the world in recession. Now, the problem is they probably will come to an agreement before the end of the month.
Alpesh Patel, CEO of Profinium Partners, thanks very much indeed for joining us. There'll be more from me.